Hey guys, I'm driving to go see a doctor today. It's been almost 2 weeks um, when I had my surgery for my broken arm, and hopefully they will switch out the bandage. It stinks really bad actually, and they'll check up on my arm. A little bit nervous about the copay. I couldn't afford to do the copay, so hopefully I can get the invoice and send it to the promoter who put on the show. They have insurance, if they're legit promoter, that is, but they are. So today I was on a Facebook community page, the Joko Extreme Ownership, and basically we were there was a poll asking when you started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and if you started it because you read the book from Joko Extreme Ownership, or if you started before. And I posted that I started in 2001, and then another person jumped in and started reminiscing about back then. So what's the point of this? The point is that back in 2001 in America, unless you live in California, your exposure to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu were very, very limited, like almost non-existent. If you did Judo, basically, it's similar to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was more like, think of it as more like laissez-faire, like more just anything type of environment go. They were more free to experiment. So I just wanted to talk to you about my journey in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I started Judo in 2000 and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 2001, and I didn't train a lot in it. I just dropped into class whenever I can, and I also tried to. At that time, I didn't have a lot of money, so I would do my judo club training, and then I would do open mats. Open mats were, I think, $15 at that time, and you show up and you just give $15 and you just stay. Back then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was like the cool thing if you knew where to find it. And I was living in Toronto back then, and there's a guy, I forget his name, but he had a motorcycle shop right on Queen Street, and he would push out his motorbike and roll out these mats, and the mats weren't super clean, but at that time it was cool. No one really gave a shit, and we would grapple. And the room wasn't that big. It was like the size of maybe a little bit bigger than the size of a living room. And I think I joined 1 month of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at that time, but I mostly went on open mats day, and basically I just got my ass kicked really bad, and I paid like $15. And a lot of times open mat would start around 10, and people just show up whenever, and it usually end around 4 o'clock. And so I would try to maximize my training time. I would go there at maybe 11 or 12, and I would stay there until 2 or 3 o'clock, and I would leave until I'm hungry or until my parking ticket expired. Parking in Toronto is like a nightmare. Anyways, back then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you were a blue belt or purple belt, you were like freaking god. Like, you knew more than almost everybody except maybe the black belt judoka, who were really good on the ground, right? And how we developed in our knowledge or skill was that we would get pirated VHS tape, and we would just watch it. We would put a VHS tape, a black and white television or color television, and we put it into the living room or where we would train, and we would watch the move and then practice it. Or we would watch the move many times, make notes, and then get a willing partner to practice it on. And how I got better was I would find people who would train with me outside of the classroom, and that's how I did it. I would experiment, figure things out, and put in the rep, and just figure things out for myself. Back then, hardly any book was on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, let alone Muay Thai, let alone MMA. I remember picking up my first one. It was the Blue Belt book from Renzo Gracie and Marion, Hoyler Gracie, and it was basically zero white to black, blue belt, or was it white? No, white to black belt, and it was fundamental, right? So I might shoot a video about that, and basically it gave me a lot of fundamental knowledge. You know what I mean? So why is this video important? Why am I shooting it? Well, if you want to get good at something, you don't make excuses. You find a group of common guys who have the same vision, and you get together with them. You do it. You know, you find whatever little resources you can get. You know what I mean? Back then there was no YouTube. There was maybe forums. People would take photos with their little crappy digital camera and put it online, and they would write description, and we would watch. We would practice it and debate about it and talk about it, and that's how I got better. You know, we would go to grappling tournaments or seminars, and we would just like watch closely. It was almost fanatical. You know, classes were long. Like we just train and train and train and train. What else? Almost. I mean, there was a few things that I wish I'd done better. One was hero worshiping. Like, you know, granted, I was also like maybe 26, 27, and hero worshiping, I probably wouldn't have done what I've done now. I wouldn't have, like, you know, at the same time, it's kind of given, like, if someone's a lot better than you, you kind of like, ooh, they're so good and everything. But, you know, they taught us things that we didn't know. There would be guys who would go to Brazil and live there for like 2 to 3 months and just literally train 5 days a day, and they'll come back and they'll move like from blue to purple or purple to brown, and we get so excited for them. And basically they start teaching the class and they start showing all the things they learned. You know, it was so amazing. Back then, if you want to get promoted, you would literally have to go and stay in Brazil for a couple months and go through the gauntlet and get promoted. You know. What else? Back then that was pretty cool. Most Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu clubs back then were a tightly knit group of guys, and if you were like a blue belt or purple belt, you basically fought MMA. Like that's how good your skill were. And back then, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was very combative in the sense that we practiced takedown, we practiced ground and pound, we practiced fighting from the guard, and really learning to utilize the guard and submit people without getting hit. Most of us understood that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was a combat-based art, and that you use it to, you know, beat up someone or not get beat up. It wasn't as sport-oriented as now, you know. Oh, another funny thing was back then, there was no rash guard. I mean, I remember having to go to a surfing area, like people who did surfing, to get rash guard, because it was so hard to get rash guard back then. Rash guard, there was only a few companies that made rash guards. They were from Brazil. Bad Boys, and Vitamin. All right. Another really funny thing was back then, we would put patches on a whole freaking gi. You know, we were like the NASCAR of martial art. Our gis were covered with patches, and we thought it was so cool to advertise other people's brand, you know, or to tell people that, hey, I spent $200 on this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gi, you know. And it's because we were so like in love with this amazing martial art. What else? Okay, so it was the VHS era, and then people started putting instructional DVD on DVD. So that helped a lot. It just allowed us to pirate the things quicker. allow us to get the information out there, just got more people to watch it. And so we went from VHS to DVD, and I would like just pop it in and watch. I would fall asleep watching DVDs. It was crazy. Like I would pop it in, I would come home after training. One of my friends would give me a DVD, or we would all buy we would all chip in $200 to buy like a set of 6 DVDs, and then we would split up the cost because it was so expensive, and then we would pirate it and just give it to all the people who contributed, right? And I would go home. I would get so excited. I would go home and I would watch the DVD, and I would fall asleep watching it. What else? Oh, okay. So here's a funny story. I would try to train wherever I could. So I would go to this community center in Queen Street in Jarvis in Toronto, and it was kind of filthy. And we would just put down mats that were falling apart, and we would bring in like duct tape, and we would duct tape the mats together. Or we would have guys standing on the edge of the mat and constantly kick the mats in. And we would like grapple with each other. It was the strangest thing. It was a bunch of strangers get together and we'll grapple. And some of these guys were total asshole. Like they would get me to teach them stuff, because at that time I think I was like a blue belt judo, so I knew a little bit more than them. But I was a little guy, and they would go like freaking hard on me, right? One of the most common moves back then, if you didn't know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or you were starting out, was the guillotine choke. They would just jump in each other's neck and guillotine choking each other like crazy. People would throw tantrums, and like when we go, we'll run out of there and stuff like that. Another crazy thing was I would try to improve my grappling, so I would do wrestling. And one time I was at this wrestling room, I think it was at the same community center, and it was goddamn hot and humid and sweaty, and the mat was like filthy, and it was slip and slide. Literally, it was like you get on it, you would slip. And the first time I was there, I actually only went there once. I grappled, and all these guys were so big, and one guy like his whole freaking body was covered with hair, and I would grapple with him, and the sweat and the hair would be like slushing around my face. I'll be sliding around the mat. And then I went home, and then I got sick for like 3 days. Literally, that's how bad it was. I think I got sick from some germ or something, and I never went back. I was like, God damn it, this is free, but I'm not going back. It was so bad. Anyways, guys, I was so inspired by having this conversation with this guy on the Facebook fan page. I just said, you know what, let's just shoot a video. Like all the people who are studying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu nowadays are so lucky. You can just get on YouTube, watch a video. There's so much videos. Or join a membership site, and all these curriculums are sorted out. And not just that, like the moves are more thought out. There are better moves. The moves are more methodically taught now. And there are certain moves that we thought worked back then that has been improved upon. Most Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools now are run by professionals, like people who are actually trying to make a living teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So the mats are clean, the washroom are clean, they open on time. There's a curriculum, there's belt ranking, stuff like that. Back then, there wasn't really any curriculum. We promote you if you were kicking everyone's ass. So let's just say you were a blue belt and you were kicking every blue belt's ass, and then we knew you were close to purple belt, so we promote you to purple belt. Or you've been a long-term member. There's a whole bunch of factors, but the main gauge was if you can hang with the belt above you. So, getting back to my point, if you're really, really passionate about something, nothing will stop you. You will find a way. You will save your money and travel somewhere, or you will find books, or you will find training partners. And the funny thing was, I've been doing this since 2001, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm still a purple belt. And I'm okay with that. Because for me, I'm more concerned about the process and the journey and less about the belt. Um, I'm more concerned about discovering and learning and finding things for myself and making that art becoming part of me. You know what I mean? The belt is great because it's more like an ego stroke. It's more like validating my accomplishment. But the last 14 years, I haven't have anyone to grade me, so consistently. So I'm kind of stuck in this limbo land, and I feel like, okay, that's okay. I'm gonna keep on figuring things out on my own, because no one will take that away from me. No one will take away the curiosity. No one will take away my passion. No one will take away my resourcefulness. No one will take away my drive to get better as a human being, get better as a martial artist, get better as a jiu-jitsu practitioner. You know what I mean? Anyways, those are the things you need to have if you want to get good at anything. Oh, the other thing was I would always have training partners, right? And a lot of them would not show up. They would make all sorts of excuses. So it was very minor excuses in the beginning, and eventually they'll fade out. And so I just had a certain insight last week. I look at the people's excuse, and if the excuse is like let's just say they have an excuse and they don't meet up with you, but they make a rain check and they show up, then the next they reschedule and they actually show up, boom, then you know they're serious. I have so many people calling me asking about training with me, or asking about this organization that I'm part of, Judo International Federation, and they will not follow up with their phone calls. They will always have some kind of excuses. They'll say, hey, I'm going to call you. I can't call you right now, and then they never do. And what you do, if you want to know if someone's serious, you look at their excuses and you want to see if they take ownership to it. What I mean is, if they say, you know what, my daughter got sick today, I have to take her to the doctor's appointment. I'm really sorry for wasting your time. I know we really had this plan. I'm really excited about it. Let's reschedule, okay? I will show up on blah, blah, blah date, okay? And the reschedule should be within a week, not like fucking a year or 6 months or 3 months. It's too long, okay? These people are not serious. Take ownership. And the other thing is, when they make excuses, the excuse should be, see if the excuse is like weak, like they come across like they have no control over their time or resources or their emotional well-being. Like, these people are very weak. If they say, I'm blah blah blah, my life is so frustrated, I'm so burnt out, I don't think I can do this, right? You know that you need to find another training partner or another business partner. They're so weak, they do not have the ability to push through. Anyways, guys, I apologize for rambling. I haven't had breakfast yet, so I will shoot another video that delve into about making excuses and stuff like that.